again. Time, we adjusted that thing, the seasonal clock, the solar calendar, the yearly cycle, or the lunar cycle in some places it used to be. And on a wider, any Hegelians in the room? They'll know that on a wider level, historical process. We are creatures of our age. And we all like to think of ourselves as Doctor Who, being able to flit around from age to age. We wouldn't bloody like it. We are embedded in our age. We're creatures of our age. We affect the age, and the age affects us. We wouldn't do very well. I mean, you can prove this to yourself by going to, say, a third world culture and trying it. You know, our age makes us, we make it. So there's the historical process to bear in mind as well, and how it conditions and changes who we are. This Michel Foucault went into this. Hegel, of course, was the great thinker on this concept. And time, our relationship to time, of course, it has downsides. Time is good because, remember, we spoke about the future. That's the measure of our creativity. That's the measure of our productivity. We use time for that. In fact, it's a central ingredient in authenticity. We know that at the end of time, very soon, 28,000 days, 70 summers, we're going to die. So the concept of thinking about that moment does what? Well, you don't need the existential psychologist to tell you. It gives meaning and lucidity to the life you live. You live your life more imminently and with more, well, hopefully with more lucidity, because you know that one day it's going to end. It doesn't go on forever. So time has a very great bearing on our philosophical state of living, our level and depth of consciousness. Not just that we live in time quantity, but quality of life. How do you make one day into a year? How do you hold eternity in the palm of your hand? Well, you wouldn't if life just continued on forever. But of course, there are downsides as well. There's the materialist relationship with time isn't very good, because then we're slaves of the clock. Slaves of that seasonal process. Slaves of the weeks and the months and this almost hypothetical turning of the weeks. The 7-day slavery, enslavement, which does what? You're so committed to it, right? As I said, you're embedded in it now, so entangled in it, that what happens as a consequence? You start losing connection with the inner clock, with that inner chronology. That's why I spend so much of my life doing divination, because that's trying to rectify that, tip the balance a little bit in our favor to work with that inner time again, that inner chronology. That's why divination I love it so much, is because it actually does help us get back in touch with that psychological chronology.